Look, I've spent a lot of time on the road traveling to some of the dirtiest jobs you can imagine. Big rigs and buses, hauling cargo, hauling people. They're carrying a massive responsibility. We all depend on them to get the job done safely. That's why rules for commercial drivers are so strict. It's not just about how fast you're going or how long you've been driving. A huge part of this world involves drug and alcohol testing. It's not glamorous, but it's one of the most important safety nets on our highways. This isn't about pointing fingers. Operating an 80,000-pound machine requires full, unimpaired attention. There's no room for error. The Department of Transportation, or DOT, created a comprehensive testing program every commercial driver must join. It covers pre-employment screens, random tests that can happen at any time. The goal is simple: keep the roads safe for everyone. The system is designed to catch a problem before it becomes a tragedy. Whether you drive a massive semi-truck across the country, a local delivery van, a tour bus full of sightseers, or a school bus with our kids in the back, if you hold a commercial driver's license, you are part of this program. It's not optional. These are federal regulations. Understanding these rules isn't just about keeping your job. It's about the commitment you've made to safety. It's as fundamental as knowing how to double clutch or check your brakes before you roll out. So let's pull back the curtain on this process. Alright, let's talk about something called reasonable suspicion. This isn't about a boss having a bad day or not liking an employee. This is a specific, documented process that has to be based on facts. A reasonable suspicion test happens when a trained supervisor or company official observes behavior or physical signs that point to possible drug or alcohol use. They can't just send you for a test on a whim or a hunch. They need to see, hear, smell something concrete that would lead a reasonable person to believe you might be under the influence while on the job. So what are they looking for? It's all about specific observable signs: slurred speech, smell of alcohol on the breath, difficulty walking or keeping balance, erratic or unusual behavior like being argumentative, drowsy, unable to follow simple instructions. The supervisor must be able to articulate exactly what they observed. They have to write it down. It's not enough to say Bob seemed off today. Example: I observed Bob stumbling as he walked to his truck. His speech was slurred. I detected the odor of alcohol when I spoke with him. This is why companies invest in training their supervisors. The DOT requires supervisors who can order reasonable suspicion tests to complete specific training. The training teaches them to recognize signs and symptoms and to understand proper procedures for documenting observations. This protects the driver from unfair targeting. It protects the company by ensuring compliance with the law. It's a system of checks and balances, designed to be fair in tense situations. Once a supervisor makes that determination, the process moves quickly. You will be immediately removed from safety-sensitive duties. No driving. Now let's shift gears to a scenario no driver ever wants to face: an accident. When a commercial motor vehicle is involved in a crash, a whole different set of testing rules kicks in automatically. This isn't about suspicion, it's about protocol. Post-accident testing is mandatory under very specific circumstances. It's one of the first things addressed at the scene. The goal is to determine if drugs or alcohol were a factor. It's a standard procedure. Happens whether you feel at fault or not. The rules for when a post-accident test is required are crystal clear. Alcohol. A test is required if there was a human fatality, regardless of fault. Alcohol. A test is required if someone requires immediate medical treatment away from the scene and you receive a citation. Drug testing. The fatality rule is the same. Drug testing. A test is mandatory if someone needs medical treatment away from the scene and you get a citation. Drug testing. A test is also required if a vehicle is damaged so badly it must be towed and you receive a citation. When one of these triggers is met, the clock starts ticking. The DOT requires the alcohol test to be administered within 8 hours of the accident. The drug test must be completed within 32 hours. Your employer is responsible for making sure these tests happen. They will direct you to a testing facility as soon as it's feasible. Law enforcement at the scene will often be involved in facilitating this process. It's crucial that you, the driver, remain available and cooperate fully. So, you've taken the test. A sample was collected, sent to a certified laboratory, and the results are in. What happens when that result comes back positive? This is where the process becomes very formal and has immediate, significant consequences for your career. The first thing that happens is that a medical review officer, or MRO, gets involved. An MRO is a licensed physician who is responsible for receiving and reviewing laboratory results and evaluating any potential medical explanations for the positive test. This is a critical step designed to protect you, the driver. The MRO will contact you directly. This is your chance to explain if there's a legitimate medical reason for the result. For example, maybe you have a valid prescription from your doctor for a medication that showed up on the test. You will need to provide proof, like a copy of the prescription or a note from your physician. The MRO will then verify this information. If they determine that you have a legally valid medical explanation for the result, they will report the test to your employer as a negative. It's a confidential conversation between you and a medical professional. However, if you cannot provide a legitimate medical explanation, or if the MRO determines your prescription use was not medically appropriate for a safety-sensitive position, the MRO will verify the test as positive. At that exact moment, your world as a professional driver changes. The MRO will report the positive result to your employer. Your employer is then legally required to immediately remove you from all safety-sensitive duties. You cannot drive a commercial vehicle for any company until you have successfully completed a formal return-to-duty process. This isn't a company policy, it's federal law. The positive result is also reported to the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. This is a secure online database that gives employers and government agencies real-time access to information about CDL drivers' drug and alcohol program violations. This means that even if you leave your current job, the violation follows you. Any potential future employer is required to check the clearinghouse before hiring you. They will see the positive test result, and they will be legally barred from hiring you for a driving position until you've completed the entire return-to-duty process. There is no hiding from it. To have a chance at driving commercially again, you must go through the DOT's return-to-duty process. This isn't a simple paperwork drill. It starts with finding and being evaluated by a substance abuse professional, or SAP. But when you're talking about a fully loaded tractor trailer, a bus full of commuters, a tanker carrying hazardous materials, the stakes are just too high. This isn't about punishing drivers, it's about protecting everyone. It's about ensuring every commercial driver is sharp, focused, unimpaired. It's a promise made to every other driver, every pedestrian, every family on the road. Think about it from their perspective. When you see a big rig in your rearview mirror, you are placing your trust in the professionalism of the person driving it. You trust that they are sober, alert, in full control. The DOT testing program backs up that trust. It provides a framework so companies hire safe drivers stay clean. It's a tough system, but it has to be. The potential for devastation is just too great. For you, the professional driver, compliance is everything. Your CDL is more than just a license, it's a professional credential you worked hard to earn. Following your company's drug and alcohol policy and complying with DOT regulations protects that credential. Upholding safety standards is how that respect is earned, one safe mile at a time, ensuring that everyone gets where they're going, safe and sound.